just how I like to start my week, with crippling depression. They did a lot right this episode. The music, the sound effects, how the actors responded to what they were going through. One of my favorite scenes this episode with dealing with sound was in the RV when all the noises, the music, everything melts away and all we can hear is Rick breathing. Just so well done. That being said, I'm still pissed off that they made us wait until the next season to see who died. And they dicked us around still with the premiere and delayed us seeing who had actually died. So I'm still a bit miffy about that. I'm over it now. I've moved on, but I wish they would have just jumped right into it. And I kind of got what they were doing after I watched the episode. I was like, okay, you did it in a very artful way. I understand why you delayed showing us who was killed this episode, but still, after the bullshit you pulled last season, not exactly okay with it. Glenn dying was predictable. Abraham dying was also a bit predictable. He was on borrowed time for quite a while, which is why I don't understand why they couldn't have maybe showed us one death in the finale of last season, and then maybe Daryl steps out and freaks out, and then Negan goes, okay, apparently you didn't learn your lesson, round 2. And then cut to black, and then we begin this season right there, and Negan kills another person. Or even do what they did with Rick, and then do the roundabout way of finally going back to that scene and showing us the second person. I really think that they chose to kill 2 people because of the backlash for what they did last season, and before it was just gonna be 1, but then they realized, holy shit, we need to make this as awful and gruesome as possible just to let them know or make them believe, hey, the wait was worth it. And in a way it actually was, because this episode was very intense and very well done. The actors did a fabulous job. Rick's eyes when this is going on. Andrew Lincoln is an amazing actor. Amazing. Others in the lineup, yeah, they look sad, and various actors had better acting than others, but Andrew Lincoln fucking nails it every time. Every time. There's a reason he's the lead, and they can spend entire episodes focused on his face and watching the emotions play on it. I will say Abraham's actor was fantastic as well. Others were hunching down, and Abraham was upright, ready to go. Go back and watch his eyes when he realizes he's been picked. Those eyes, that was chilling. Conveying what he did in that scene as well as he did, the realization, the acceptance, the defiance, and sadness were all there and amazingly done. So the death scene was brutal, I'll find you. Geez, that was heartbreaking. The eye popping out was brutal as well. Ugh, and then how they focused on him with his head caved in for a while. And by the way, Glenn's actor did an amazing job with the noises he was making after his head was crushed in. If you've ever been around someone with a traumatic brain injury to that extent, or a loved one that had a really bad brain injury, you know that they make noises like that, and sometimes up into the point where they die, or if they have a more extended life, they can make that noise a lot. And Glenn's actor just nailed it. I felt like I was reliving those experiences again, listening to him. That's how great of a job he did, so I really kudos to him in nailing that. The hitting Abraham and Glenn over and over with the bat was also so brutal. All the nauseating noises as well. Then Glenn's twitching hand. They just wanted it to be super realistic and as traumatic as possible. I liked how messed up Negan was, joking while people are experiencing some of the most horrific shit in their life. She's a vampire bat. And then the, you had a bad day. Yeah, I think this is a little worse than a bad day. Then we see Negan's men taking pictures of Negan's carnage as they leave. And we already saw there were Polaroids like that in one of Negan's bases. Also right now, I'm trying to imagine what Daryl must be going through, knowing that his actions caused the death of Glenn. So already knowing that you caused the death of a friend and someone you've been with for a very long time. And then you're taken by Negan and his men to a place where you're not going to be treated super great. And I would imagine what happened there is going to weigh on him, and he's going to feel that guilt for the rest of his life, however long that may be. Also, I don't know if you picked up on this, but they were teasing Rick losing his hand so much throughout this episode. I actually started to fear Rick was going to lose his hand. Negan holding the axe and then talking about right-hand man, and if Rick had one, and then the scenes in the RV, how they were doing the angles, how Negan was approaching him, how he was talking, it all seemed like it was leading up to Rick losing a hand, and I was honestly surprised when the episode ended and Rick had all his limbs. Alright, so here's Negan's problem. He thinks he broke Rick. He thinks Rick willing to cut off his son's arm means that Rick is broken. Rick's not broken, or at least he's not completely broken. Rick is going to play the good follower for a while, but finally, old Rick is going to come back. And God help Negan at that point. But again, right now, Rick is going to play along, and he's in shock. Until he comes out of that state in shock, I don't think we're really gonna like the Rick we see. But eventually, old Rick will come back. Carl was so brave, telling his dad to just do it. Being in a lot of near-death experiences and surviving the apocalypse can help you be a bit more logical in these situations, but it was still incredibly brave and collected to tell someone, do it. I understand Sasha going with Maggie to Hilltop. They both lost someone they were close to. Maybe Rosita was closer to Abraham, but this is also Sasha's at least number 2 of losing her lover. I also have no doubt Maggie is going to kick Rick's ass into gear eventually, or maybe Hilltop and Rick follow suit. Also glad they gave Rosita and Sasha that moment to look at each other, share their grief, and let bygones be bygones. That dinner scene at the end was heart-wrenching, seeing Glenn with his kid that he'll never hold. I'm so glad they included that. Pain-inducing scene. Also that he's our family too when taking Glenn's body away. Holy shit, AMC. You wanted to tear our hearts out completely and just stomp on them, didn't you? And note, I don't know if this bothers you, it bothers me. I don't understand how we can show this type of violence. We can eviscerate someone, we can brutally beat someone to death, we can rip out someone's jugular with our teeth, and that's okay. But we can't say the F word. I don't understand. I don't understand how you can show this intense violence. It's like when you can't show an ass crack or a woman's breasts, but you can show someone just brutally murdered, just bleeding out, just fucking terrible things. But for some reason, fuck and boobies and an ass crack, we can't fucking do the fabric of goddamn society. Hey, you know what we should do? We should take out that dude's intestines and just fucking wrap it around a child's neck and choke them out with it until they die. But make sure they don't say the fuck word while it happens. I just don't get it. I want Negan to say fuck. God damn it. Motherfuck. So despite this episode being a punch to the gut, I thought it was a fabulous start to the season, and I think the rest of the season is likely going to be amazing. There's going to be certain episodes that aren't going to be as great, but I think in the past couple years, The Walking Dead has really learned from its mistakes and gotten better and better in certain areas, so I'm excited to see what they do this season and what boundaries they push. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, and come back for TV reviews every week.